What is going on, my fellow geeks?
3 movies with elves and a guy with a white beard.
Not a lot of people accept it as canon.
2022 will be the year of Star Wars.
Well, I have more than just one piece of geek news.
I have been Isaac Hunter.
Which is like high culture, but better.
It is. It's in the same spot every week. I can't find it. Hello, fellow geeks, and welcome back to Raving Geeks, the weekly pop culture podcast where we talk about all things geeky and geek culture, which is like high culture, but better. My name is Hope Gooderl, host of the Raving Geeks podcast, along with my co-hosts who will introduce themselves in a minute with our question of the week. If you're just joining us for the first time and you like this episode and you want to check out some others, you can find us at cm-life.com and any other place you listen to podcasts. Just search Central Michigan Life Podcasts Raving Geeks. All right. So this is our final episode for this season. And also my final episode as a re-original geek member, Raving Geek. And I say re-original because we revamped it during the pandemic. Woo. But it's also Mike's last time as well. So we're gonna do a little bit different format. We're still gonna have a little bit of discussion, but Carter wants to ask us some questions during this episode. But to start off, our final question of the week: which actor is someone that you only see as one specific role, even though they might have been in multiple different roles?
I guess I'll go first. It's definitely Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, even though I love him in like the Sherlock Holmes movies or like any other projects that he does. I can't stop seeing him as Iron Man. He just made it way too iconic. And I think it's the same way for Mark Hamill too, as Luke Skywalker, even though he's like picked up some acting gigs. I'm always like, oh, there's Luke Skywalker right there. How about you, Mike?
I would actually have to say Bob Odenkirk, as Saul Goodman. His voice and just personality has always struck as Saul Goodman. So even I remember I was watching Breaking Bad at the time, and what was it? We were watching I think it's Little Women. And Bob Odenkirk kind of makes this appearance. I'm like, oh my gosh, Saul Goodman? That was just the first thing that came into my head. I was like, whoa, Saul Goodman's in this, I don't know, period piece. What about you, Hope?
I have a couple. So the first one is Alan Rickman as Severus Snape. Like, he was in, what was it, Spaceballs, and he was in Sweeney Todd with Helena Bonham Carter and Johnny Depp. But he's Snape. He's always gonna be Snape for me. And then the other one is nope, we're just gonna go with Snape because I'd lost my train of thought. So we're just gonna go with Alan Rickman. It's fine.
All right, that works.
All right, so now on to our geek news of the week. Who would like to go first?
I guess I'll kick it off. I didn't really find as much news this week. Scarlet Spider's voice actor for Across the Spider-Verse was kept secret for a while, and then I think Andy Samberg just spoiled that he's voicing Scarlet Spider, so I thought that was kind of funny. Final Destination 6 is in the works. That's kind of surprising. I thought they were done with the franchise, but hearing that John Watts is going to direct it, that's pretty exciting, and I'm glad he's doing something other than superheroes. Harrison Ford has confirmed that his last time playing the Indiana Jones character will be in Dial of Destiny, so that's really important to know for people going into that.
Especially after all the rumors, especially like between Shia LaBeouf and Robert Pattinson after Crystal Skull. They were like, oh, it's gonna be a spin-off with Shia LaBeouf. No, wait, it's Robert Pattinson. Nothing happens.
Well, yeah, that's because Lucasfilm said that they were going to focus all their work onto Star Wars, which I think is a really dumb idea because everybody's wanted a young Indiana Jones show, but we never got it because Joaquin Phoenix unfortunately passed away, and we never got that. So I think it's kind of a foolish idea for Lucasfilm to put all their eggs into one basket, even though they started doing something with Willow and then just decided to ditch it. So that's unfortunate. Alita Battle Angel is getting a sequel, which is very exciting. I actually recently just watched that film and it was very, very good. Um, so I'm excited to see where that goes. Dodgeball is getting a sequel with Vince Vaughn going to return. That's very exciting. And then Michael Biehn from the Terminator, Tombstone, and Aliens movies will be showing up at our Comic Con at Motor City Comic Con May
Ooh.
19th. So that's very exciting to know. That's all my geek news, though.
All right. Um, I don't have too much either. This is actually uh, kind of a slow week for entertainment, I'd say. But
Mhm.
the first one I would have to say is there's a Twilight TV show in early development, just following the Twilight series. Um, it looks like Craven the Hunter will be Sony's first R-rated Marvel movie,
Mhm.
which I'm very interested to see, especially after Mobius and Venom. Uh, I'm excited to see what happens with this one and if it'll be good.
Mhm.
Um, and Avatar: The Last Airbender movie is getting a release date. It's looking like it's going to be coming around in October 10th of 2025.
Mhm.
So we do have quite a bit of ways, to actually see it, but I'm always excited to see Avatar news.
Mhm.
All right. Well, I just looked up Motor City Comic Con to see who else was gonna go because I know we've done a few different episodes of um telling you guys who else was gonna come. So an official list that is subject to cancellation by the big name celebrities, Motor City Comic Con very pointedly said at the top of the page, listen, we don't like it as much as you, but guests cancel sometimes.
Mhm.
So, um, we've got Clark Gregg, Jason Isaacs, Christopher Lloyd, Will Poulter, Carl Weathers, Zach Aguilar, Stephen Amell, Michael Ben Bean,
Michael Biehn.
Biehm, Jennifer Blancben, Steve Cardenas, William Daniels. Sorry. Bonnie Bartlett Daniels, Feeney's wife in real life and the show. Tony Danza, Debbie Dunning, Ashley Eckstein, Mick Foley, Jonathan Frakes, Edward Furlong, Sean Gunn, Lori Holden, Richard Karn, Matt Lanter, Maggie Lawson. Most of you are probably going to know her as Juliet from Psych. Yuri Lowenthal,
Mhm.
Oh,
Charles Martinet, David Matranga, Jim O'Hare, Timothy Omundson, Lassiter, also from Psych, Bryce Pappenbrook, Tara Platt, David Ramsey, Emily Bett Rickards, Michael Rooker, Mark Shepard, Brent Spiner, Tara Strong, Catherine Tate, and James Arnold Taylor.
Mhm.
Y'all,
this
Yeah,
is big.
Comic Con is popping this year.
like, especially for being Michigan Comic Con, like, whew.
I'm genuinely shocked Charles Martinet is able to make it. I mean, the Mario voice, I just I'm getting it. I'm getting his autograph. I'm gonna get a little video with him. It's gonna be great.
Mhm.
So, just so everyone knows, ticket prices. Friday adult pass is $30 plus $5. I don't know what the extra $5
Wait, they
is.
raised the price?
Well,
Oh no.
Saturday adult pass is $40 plus
Oh God.
$5.
No, why? Why did they raise the prices? Oh.
Sunday is 35. So we go back down a little bit, but it's plus $5 again. And then you can get a 3-day weekend adult pass for $85 plus $8. And then a VIP fan pass is $249 plus $12.
Yeah.
Hey Mike, do you think we could get in with press badges?
That's what I'm applying for. You guys should
She
apply
is applying for
press
that.
badges. That's what I'm doing, but I still haven't heard back yet. So
Yeah. And that is May 19th, May 20th, and May 21st. It does not say who will be there what days. At least not under the under the ticket prices. But it is in 16 days, 15 hours, and 33 minutes, 58
oh,
seconds.
I know the dates. It's May 19th through the 21st.
Yep. So if you're looking to go to Comic-Con, there is a ton of people who's gonna be at Comic-Con. And just know they might up the prices again because of the A-lister high name celebrities that they're adding.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to imagine the voice of Mario going to like Michigan restaurants. I'm still trying to fathom that.
Yeah, no, actually it's a really great tip. Usually after Comic-Con ends, all the celebrities go like bar hopping. So I've heard a couple of stories from people who have like I think my dad's friend met Michael Rooker like at a bar after a Comic-Con or something like that, if I remember correctly. So yeah, no, definitely hit up restaurants and bars after Comic-Con. You might just see a couple people.
And Suburban Collection is right down the road ish. There's an expressway between it and most of the restaurants.
Oh yeah,
And the mall, which also has more restaurants. But
exactly.
hey, you go to 12 Oaks Mall, you might see some celebrities.
I see Charles Martinet, I'm gonna lose it.
Anyway, so we have another Lilo and Stitch casting announcement. We have our Cobra Bubbles CIA agent. It is going to be Courtney B. Vance, who is Angela Bassett's husband and is from Detroit. So I just want to say, Michigan's representing in Lilo and Stitch. I'm pretty happy.
Wait, who's from Michigan?
Is Courtney B. Vance.
Oh, okay. I think you said Angela Bassett for a second. I almost tripped.
No, Courtney B. Vance. He is from Detroit.
No way
Michigan.
she is from Michigan.
I mean, it'd be pretty cool, but
yeah,
I am sure.
Jason Momoa is from Iowa, so that's fun for my Iowa side of my family.
I am sure that they have a house somewhere in Michigan, especially a beach house. Because for a while we knew Julia Roberts had a beach house in Traverse City, and we knew which house it was.
Mm-hmm.
We never like actually stopped to bother them, but we were like, oh yeah, that's where she is. Witcher season 3 has 2 different release dates. So volume 1 is going to be June 29th, and then volume 2 is a month later, a little bit less than a month, July 27th. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to binge watch volume 1 because I go to camp over the 4th of July. So none of y'all better give me no spoilers at all for volume 1, please and thank you.
I still gotta watch season 2, so you're fine.
So does my sister.
Through season 1?
Wait, season 2? I meant to say season 2. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, my sister still has to go through season 2 as well. She's like, oh yeah, I have to watch that. I'm like, yes, you do, because season 3 is coming out. Beetlejuice is getting a sequel, and it's confirmed to be in development. Warner Bros. Announced it during their presentation at CinemaCon in Las Vegas. Austin Butler is joining Timothy Chalamet. I was like, Timothy Granderos, that's the wrong actor. Timothy Chalamet in Dune 2. Red, White, and Royal Blue, which, yes, it is a book first, but it officially has a series or movie date for Amazon Prime, August 11th. I do want to let y'all know Percy Jackson, even though Percy Jackson series is going to be on Disney Plus, Disney did not buy the rights for the Kane Chronicles, but Netflix did. So Netflix will have the Kane Chronicles and the Kane siblings eventually. Not really sure why they were passing, but the new movie Ghosted on Apple TV has become the most watched movie debut on Apple TV, starring Chris Evans and Ana de Armas, which I'm not surprised considering I just learned that Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan make appearances in Ghosted. Netflix has a whole slew of animated movies that are coming out between this year, this summer, and the next year, 2 years. So the first one we've got is Nimona, which is coming this summer. We've got The Monkey King, also coming this summer. Leo is coming this fall, and it'll be Adam Sandler voicing the character.
Nice.
Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget, which that movie has not been out for a while, is coming this fall. In Your Dreams is coming out next year in 2024. Saving Bikini Bottom, the Sandy Cheeks movie, is also coming out in 2024.
Nice.
That Christmas is coming out next year. Thelma the Unicorn. I hope that there is a Louise the Pegasus in that movie, is also coming out in 2024. Ultraman is coming out in 2024. And yeah, they just released a whole bunch of things. You can check out the synopsis and log lines and everything online. I will let y'all figure out which ones you want to see for that. Also at CinemaCon over last weekend or the weekend before, fans got a glimpse at Wicked. They got to see Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande's Defying Gravity. Listen to that. I am very jealous because it's not on YouTube anywhere. So I'm mad. But we had a few new pictures of she was just in Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Michelle Yeoh.
Yes, Michelle Yeoh as Madame Morrible. There were set pictures released for that. Chris Hemsworth is set to voice Optimus Prime in a Transformers prequel. That will be an animated prequel. Sweeney Todd, going back to musicals, Sweeney Todd is getting a new album release from the current Broadway cast, which stars Josh Groban and Annalay Ashford. And Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 has confirmed to have 2 post-credit scenes. So if I see any of y'all leaving after the first scene or even before the first scene, you have not learned. Because Marvel has post-credit scenes. 911 is officially done at Fox after the end of season 6, but it got picked up for season 7 on ABC. But 911 Lone Star has been renewed for season 5 on Fox.
Yes.
Not sure what their thinking was besides just like trying to save money. Because apparently 911's episodes are roughly $9 million each to produce and film. Because they need to do the expensive things, but also they're in downtown LA most of the time. So it's like to film on location also seems like a lot. And then we have, before I move on to some not quite as geeky news, but also geeky news, I want to share some sad news. Harry Belafonte, who was a singer, an actor, and an activist, passed away on April 25th. And Len Goodman, who was one of the judges for Dancing with the Stars, also passed away. day before, actually, on April 24th, um, Len Goodman had bone cancer, and he actually died a few days before he predicted he would die, which is slightly creepy. And also, death was probably sitting there going, I don't work on your schedule. I work on my schedule. You can't tell me when to come get you. But yeah, so Len Goodman, I know will be very missed on Dancing with the Stars. But so my final get a bit of geek news has to do in the football realm. And I say it's not geeky, but it is geeky because, we really geek out on our teams. So first off, the NFL draft just happened, and I want to say 3 black quarterbacks were drafted in the top 4 picks, which is a first for NFL history, and I think that is super amazing. I wish them the best of luck, even though they're not from Central. I do wish them the best of luck. But speaking of CMU football Chippewas, Lou Nichols was drafted in the 7th round as the 235th pick to Green Bay Packers. Sorry, I'd have to dance for that one because, Packers fan here. Troy Brown was signed as a free agent to the New York Giants. Thomas Incoom was signed as a free agent to Denver Broncos. Joel Wilson was signed to the New Orleans Saints as a free agent. And then Carlos Carrier had a rookie mini camp invite extended to him from the New York Giants. And then he got signed as a free agent by the New York Giants as well. So good luck to him with that. And then Amir Siddiqui, wait. Man, it's been a long time since football season, y'all. He is, he was invited to the Green Bay mini camp as well. And so I'm super excited for all of our guys at CMU. We had 9 guys, not including the couple that had transferred and technically were signed from other colleges like Troy Brown and Amir Siddiqui. But they are CMU guys, and so I want to say congratulations to them. I hope that the other guys are signed or invited to mini camps and stuff. Or hey, even join the USFL or the XFL too, because that's a new thing. Or new, old, because the USFL is technically coming back. But on to our geek topic for the week. So as I said at the beginning, Carter has some questions for me and Mike. But I'm going to intersperse some of the questions with discussions on other geek things because it is our last episode, so I kind of wanted to do like a best of episode too. So Carter, would you like to start us off?
Yes, I would. I just wanted to thank Reagan and the entire team at CM Life for allowing me to have this opportunity in the first place. And I want to thank you guys for training me and teaching me the ropes. So it's been really good having you guys around and just like me learning everything. But I do want to kick off the questions with just a simple one being, what is your guys' favorite movie of all time and why?
Man, that changes. Like honestly, it
Okay,
changes.
favorite movie of all time right now.
Gosh, what was the last movie I watched? Now my ADHD brain is not gonna let me remember that. Mike, why don't you go first if you know?
It's at the moment Everything Everywhere All at Once. That's still just one that watching it, I was amazed. I was awed at just how incredible the writing was, at how open it was, vulnerable and silly it all was. It was really, really fun. I love it because I was bursting out laughing 1 minute and then crying at rocks this next minute, and it all just felt so honest. And that's kind of what I love about it. That's that's my 2 cents on it.
Nice, that's a very good opinion.
Um, I am qualifying this statement by saying it's a movie that I can watch over and over again, and I don't get tired of it. The Legend of Zorro is so good. It is from 2005, so special effects were not what they were, but despite that, like the film itself has like the old Western feel, like if you're watching an old Western, but it doesn't feel new, but it also doesn't feel like it's missing anything by not having the special effects either. And
Mhm.
Antonio Banderas, and Catherine Zeta-Jones have absolutely phenomenal chemistry. Um, and yeah, it flows into their characters really well. So
Nice. Nice. All right. Next question would be, what was your guys' favorite podcast you guys ever recorded?
like from Geeks,
Yeah, from Raving Geeks.
man, I don't remember. It was a
Okay. Well, okay, from this season, what was your favorite that you recorded?
I'd say my favorite was the Oscars one.
Mm.
Um, that one was my favorite just because it Everything Everywhere got a ton of awards, which was really fun. But also just seeing a lot of the change in the industry. I think just a lot of the celebrations and uh, inclusion in the award ceremony was just something that I've been hoping to see, and I
Mhm.
hope it continues. And talking with you two was just really fun, just talking and analyzing, what we saw.
yeah.
Mhm. Nice. How about you, Hope?
Um, Narrowing it down to this season, I really liked our Valentine's Day bracket one.
Oh yeah, that was a fun one.
It was really fun to like. I literally asked you guys like just give me random romantic or like romantic comedy movies, and you guys like kind of gave you an idea of what we were doing, but I didn't really like go in depth about it. Um, and then also the program that I was working with, now granted it was Google Sheets, but it was some other teacher had like set this thing up, and I was like, I don't know how this works.
Mhm.
Literally used it the first time when we recorded, but it worked out really well. And like our discourse and fighting for our favorite movies to win, I think it was a lot of fun.
It
Nice.
was. It really was.
I really do like that episode. That is a very good one. Where do you guys want to see the podcast go from here after you guys leave? What would you guys like? How would you guys like me to carry on the legacy of Raving Geeks?
Honestly, just like geek out over stuff. Like, you know,
Stay
how we
geeky.
do it, yeah. How we do it now where like we have our throwbacks to stuff, but we also keep it current on what is happening. I think I liked that better this season. Um, sorry, Brendan and Isaac, if you're listening or watching. Um, but we always kept it like up to date before, and that got really hard to do when nothing's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like, keep it current, but don't be afraid to fall back on the classics.
Okay, sounds
I
good.
I think that's really what it comes down to. I think do what you want to talk about. I think that pop culture in general is such a large medium that I think it's okay. You can go all over the place with it. And going to the past, not keeping with modern stuff, yeah, I agree with that. But I think the most important part is that you want to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when you have a podcast where everybody's kind of lukewarm on the idea, and they're talking about it, things go a little bit faster. It doesn't feel as strong of a conversation,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's what people want. I think people really want you to have that passion, have that energy to talk about what you like.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and having that conversation, having that discourse, that's always a fun aspect to it because you get to show what you are as a person.
Mm-hmm. I'll definitely keep that in mind.
Before your next question,
Mhm.
I'm gonna interject because this is a good like little segue into my thing here. For best up, we didn't really talk about video games that much this year.
We
Um,
didn't.
but granted, I'm not a video games expert, so I'm not gonna throw out that topic.
Mm-hmm.
But on the topic of video games, what in your lifetime, or just your favorite in general, what is the best of for video games for you? And this can literally be any stretch of video games. This does not have to be like stuck to the PlayStation or Xbox or whatever. Like it can be any kind of video game.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I do have a top five, which is Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, Marvel Spider-Man, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, Super Mario Odyssey, and then maybe Kirby's one of the Kirby games. Just shove all the Kirby games in the number five. They're all great.
Um, oh geez, I have a top four. I think it's turned into a top five actually.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think number one was Metroid Prime,
Mm-hmm.
which I just love. I love Metroid, anything Metroid. Um, Number two was Ghost Trick, which is a really cool DS game that's getting remastered actually on June 30th. It's on going to be on all platforms, and it's got one of those stories that just is so good. You have to just play the game for it. Um, and it's got just cool music, cool art style, everything. Number three is the Resident Evil remake from 2001, which is one of my favorites just because of how beautiful, terrifying, and haunting the stories are that you pick up, the little logs and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's If I had a good way to compare it, it's an adult version of Luigi's Mansion,
Okay.
um, which is great because it feels very video game like, but the stories that they tell, the little logs and everything, they can be goofy but very scary.
Mm.
Um, and that was number three, correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
So number four was Chrono Trigger, a classic. It's an SNES game from 1994, or three, I think. Um, and it's just one of those stories again that's just so great. It goes through all the different time periods, caveman, modern, medieval, and future. So it's always just a really, really neat time. And the last one that I would have is Resident Evil 4 because it's so campy and haunting, and the gameplay, the remake specifically, the gameplay is just so buttery smooth. I can't get enough of it.
Nice. Those are all great choices.
You guys have top five, and I'm just like, I had one choice, but now I'll do two. Um, Again, not a video game person. Um, but my number one is Nintendogs. Old classic on the
Oh yeah.
original
Mhm.
Nintendo DS. Um, I never got the Nintendogs and Cats game because I didn't know if it would work on a regular DS because it was like geared toward the 3DS.
It would not have worked on a regular DS.
How rude. Nintendo, I'm mad at you for that. But then again, I also saved $30 not getting it. So, because I would literally save $30 and then I'd go get the new Nintendogs game, even though it's all the same dogs. But my other one is the Hogwarts Mystery Game. Um, it's so good to come back to, and I have not been able to do the new Hogwarts game, Legacy, because I don't have the technology for it. I have a PlayStation 2 and a Wii. And my PlayStation 2 has Dance Dance Revolution.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
they can't run that game.
Nope. So, um, but I got really confused when someone on TikTok was like, what are the names of these professors? And it was like different images, and it was like, why is there garlic on a tongue? And apparently it's some professor in Hogwarts Legacy. And I was like, that's not fair.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so Nintendogs and Hogwarts Mystery are my best of video games.
Nice.
Right on.
With like it mostly being our opinion versus like audience opinion.
Right, but I'm just like saying, so like I can carry on your guys' legacy. If you had to go back and change something as advice to me, would you change anything about it?
I don't know that I would, honestly. Like I think
Most
the
I was
format really
oh,
works really well and like
Mm-hmm.
just kind of flows.
All right.
I think just if you can bring more guests and that's it.
Okay.
Otherwise, do what you want.
All right. That is very reassuring to know.
I was gonna ask author Nick Stone when she came to CMU, and then I kind of chickened out slash completely forgot to
Mm.
ask her. It was one of those after I saw her, I was like, dang it, I was gonna ask the thing. But
I totally get it.
Yeah, me too.
um speaking of books, what's your best of books?
Ooh, best of books. Oh, all right. Oh, I got to think about that because I haven't really read like chose to read a book in a while because of school. So, my
I
favorite
think
book right now is still Psycho the Werewolf. Still stands as my favorite book of all time. Number two is probably going to be My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. It's a great book that comes with a sound like you're supposed to listen to the soundtrack while you listen to while you read the book. So Grady Hendrix is like a child of the 80s and he loves anything from the 80s. So he made a playlist that's free on YouTube for everybody to listen to that you're supposed to listen to while reading the book. And it's supposed to be the music that the characters are listening to while in certain scenes. It's really, really cool. And it's a great reading experience for anyone who wants to try like immersive reading. That's probably my number two. My number three is The Shining by Stephen King. Just one of the best books ever written of all time. It's so good, and it's better than the movie, in my opinion. Number four would have to be Art of Racing in the Rain. I forget who writes that book, but just because I haven't read it in a while, it would be my number one. But since I haven't touched it in like 8 to 10 years, it's still on the list, but it's like lower. And then my number five would I don't even know what my number five would be. My aunt is going to be really mad at me when she finds out that I don't even have a top five of books because she's like, "You're the only reader left in this family, Carter. You gotta keep it alive." And I'm like, I know. Um, I really didn't. I think for number five, I'm going to put The Bassoon King by Rainn Wilson. It's just an autobiography about his life, and I thought it was really interesting to read about that book actually got me into reading autobiographies about famous people. So I'm gonna stick that in my number five and call it good.
Nice.
I don't have too many books I read. I have trouble honestly with that type of stuff. But I would say when it comes to manga, I do read quite a bit of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have been reading the Berserk franchise or series, and it has been very, very good. I would highly recommend it to people that are over 18. Um,
I'm
but
gonna
it
put
is
that
based,
age disclaimer on there.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
you really do with this one because it is dark fantasy at its finest, and it basically started any and every big dark fantasy trait that you see like in quite a bit of fiction. um it does the whole like big sword aspect. It has a lot of different mythology to it. It's I mean, if you have anything that's like Elden Ring or Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro, any of that stuff, there's something in there that is just straight from the Berserk franchise,
Mhm.
and it's very, very good. It's got some of the most detailed art I've ever seen. I mean, it's seriously apparently when the artist was drawing it and writer. Um, I'm blanking on his name at the moment, but literally they were like, "Hey, we have to meet deadline. Please stop drawing on this single panel."
Mhm.
And then he was like, "Oh, okay." And it was always just such fine details in it.
Mhm.
I would love to show you guys at some point some of the panels, but it is gorgeous and the story is just so good.
Nice.
Um, my list is long. So in no particular order, and I'll keep it to five. Harry Potter series. But that
Mhm.
one is also because that kind of is what catapulted me into reading and loving to read. Percy Jackson series, which my sister and I are trying to get our niece into. We just got her the first book and the graphic novel for the first book because she really likes graphic novels.
Nice.
Um, Angie Thomas's Concrete Rose, so good. Um, it is absolutely fantastic. I've talked about it before on this podcast. I know I have, because I recommended it. The March trilogy, which is three graphic novels, written by John Lewis, Andrew Aiden, and Nate Powell, about John Lewis's journey to um Congress, essentially, and his life through working with SNCC and um, the civil rights movement and everything. And the comics, the graphic novels themselves, like the pictures are in black and white and like grayscale, even
Mhm.
though the covers are colored. And I really like that it's black and white pictures. Because there's so much issues with putting colors in graphic novels and comics, and especially when it comes the history when it comes to people of color and everything.
Mm.
um and honestly, like, I'm saying this one as a way that, like, during the hype I was really into it. After and looking back on it, I'm realizing how not great the books were.
Mhm.
um Twilight series. I got really hyped up into that series, but being a writer now and, like, well, I was a writer then too, but like being a more mature writer now, going back and looking at it and seeing how she wrote things, and then her excuses, or Stephanie Meyer's excuses for stuff. I'm like, if you wanted it to be that way, you should have written it that way. You wrote it this way, so this is how we're all interpreting it. But they're really not the best of books. Um, there's also a lot of issues with how the relationship starts between the two of them. It's just wrong. Um, but yeah. So I'll
Mhm.
give it credit for during the hype, during that time of my life, being something I really liked and loved. I was Team Jacob all the way. I will admit that. And it was partly because of Taylor Lautner. Um, but yeah, those are I have a lot of books.
Yeah.
But like I have to limit it at some point.
Yeah, that's fair. For my next question, oh my God, I just lost my train of thought. I just had it. Oh my gosh. Um, oh yeah. What was your guys' favorite discussion that we did for any of the podcasts? Did you have a specific discussion or a moment that you just loved what you said there from this season of Raving Geeks?
Still gotta go back and look and see
Mhm.
what we talked about.
I
Because I
think
don't want to
again,
keep saying things that are recent in memory.
I think again, like the Oscars, I think that was a really good one.
Mhm.
When we were discussing it, we were just having a good time, having, a bit of a happy moment with how things were, and no slaps, and we're all just very happy about that.
Hmm. Yeah, I would agree.
I wish I had more to say on it, but really it was really happy. I was just happy with it.
Hmm.
Um, I think. Okay, sorry, I had to scroll over to see if Mike was part of this one or not. I Our fairy tale episode was
Hmm.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Like relating it to other modernized and um adaptations of fairy tales and stuff. Like I think it was really good way of like doing what I said earlier, like blast from the past, but also keeping it current of like, hey, these are things that shape our everyday lives.
Hmm.
But and here's an example of this new everyday life thing. Um, yeah, I think we had I mean, I don't it's hard to say my favorite because I think the other part was our discussion on soundtracks, like the movie scores was really good. Um, because there's so much you could do with like music of stuff too. Like we talked about the tunes that get stuck in your head, and like we were going on and researching um different composers too for some of them, and then realizing that they had done some of our other favorite things, and so just making the connections.
Nice. That's awesome.
Um, Best of board games.
Ooh, board games. Ooh, 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 wow. Mm. All
I
right.
have
Yes,
some
Dungeons
actually.
and Dragons counts if you wanted to say Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh no, I'm not gonna say Dungeons and Dragons. That's way too easy. Um, I mean, a lot of my favorite board games come from my childhood, so I guess my favorite board game. Oh, wow, there are a lot. Do card games count as board games?
Um, I'm gonna say no just to limit it.
Okay, good. That's what I wanted to limit. That's good. Okay, so I guess my favorite board game of all time would have to be Payday. I loved Payday as a kid. You take like days of the month. It was kind of like Game of Life, but with a lot more paper money. I just really enjoyed playing that with my mom and my brother. My second favorite board game would I'm gonna have to go with Zingo, and it was when me and my brother were very young, and there would be like this. It was kind of like bingo, but you have like this little machine that you pull forward and it snap back by itself, and then it would have like these two tokens that it would print out, and then you would have to place them on the board, and whoever gets so many in a row wins the game. So I really enjoyed that as a kid. Um, I really, oh no, Cards Against Humanity is a card game. See, I play a lot of card games, so, but
Same here.
I can fill out five. I just give me a minute to think. Um, uh, uh, um,
You
I
only
really
have a
enjoy
couple
campaign.
too. That's okay.
I know, I have five because me and my mom, my brother, we were fiends about board games. It's just, I have to like go deep into my memory to like remember all of them.
I
Um,
Would you want me to go while you're trying to remember?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Um, well, seriously, when it comes to board games, we don't play too many board games, but we all play a lot of card games like Exploding Kittens. Um,
I
that's
just
my
got into
family.
that game.
That's my family's favorite one. We're all cutthroat and very competitive, so uh, and we're also very strategic in some ways. So we're always counting, who to screw over and trying to see who slights someone else and trying to use that to our advantage. Um, every single time, it's literally like a whole like standoff between everybody. Or like, okay, who's trying to take someone out? Who's the target this time around? So we're always very like just skeptical and very stressed. Um, and it goes along with like apples to apples, stuff like that. But
Mhm.
Exploding Kittens, that's easily the game that we play all the time. And Uno.
Yes, Uno's a big one. Yeah.
That's the one that my family plays like all the time.
Yeah.
All right, my brain finally decided to remember. Thank God. All right. So sorry. Sorry was a big one for our family too. We loved playing Sorry. That was just a great game that me, my friends, and my mom and my brother and dad could all bond over. We always played Sorry. And then we love this game called Just Shock You, and it was with these magnetized rocks that you would usually find at like uh gas stations or something like that. It's a very up north Michigan type of thing to find magnetic rocks. But it was a great game where you just like you get a piece of foam and you would try and place the rocks like near each other, but they couldn't like stick together. And if somebody got all the rocks to stick together, they would lose, and then the opposite opponent would win the game. It's a really, really fun game. I highly suggest people look it up. I think it's only like $20 on Amazon. It's a great game, though. And then the last board game I want to mention is Mancala. We loved Mancala. That's a very old person game, but me and my brother, we would always compete with my mom for that game. That was always a special one. And then they came out with like 4-person Mancala like back in early 2010s, I think is when my brother got that as a gift. But that was also very fun when they had 4-person Mancala. So then my dad and my mom and we could all play at the same time since we were a family of 4. Literally, it was the perfect game for our family. Those are my board games though.
Um, so I'm gonna be honest, I am very cutthroat when it comes to Monopoly. Um, and I think I only have three versions of Monopoly. Because one is the regular Monopoly. The other one is the millionaire one, where like everything has extra zeros. Um, and then the other one is Prince Caspian themed Narnia, Prince Caspian.
Nice.
Um, and like I started playing with this one girl who lived in my dorm. Um, because when I worked at the desk, I think it was then. Because like she wouldn't be able to sleep, so then and I worked the midnight to 4 a.m. shift, so like no one's coming in. Unless it's they were out drinking and the bar shut down, and then it's 2 a.m. and then it's like, oh, there's everybody. Um, but so we'd play at the desk, she'd be on the other side, I'd be behind the desk at Sweeney. And the first time we played, she did not realize how I played.
Hmm.
I mercy ruled her. I basically bankrupt her. Um, but I also learned it from my sister because even as a little kid, my sister had no mercy. Um, for us playing Monopoly, it was totally whoever gets the most pieces and makes the most money and who can bankrupt who first. But it's also a really good game for like if you need multiple days of something. Monopoly is really good for that because you could just like slide it under the couch and then pull it back out the next day. Um, Another one is we played Sorry a lot as kids. Kids. I was the kid in my family. When I was a kid. Um, and I actually just got a Harry Potter version of Sorry for my birthday or Christmas. I think it was
Nice.
my birthday. This is the problem when my birthday is a month after Christmas. I can't remember when it was. Um, and then Game of Life became a big one when that I don't know if it re-came out or if it came out the first time. I'm not quite sure. Um, but if I was the one to get the board out first and set up without anybody there, I would slip the doctor career in to a certain spot that I knew where it was so
Mhm.
that when, dealing out, yeah, my sister became kind of smart to that at one point. She started shuffling them. I still remember one time I still got the doctor though, even though she shuffled it. I was like, it's just meant to be. But it's also really fun when all of a sudden you have more kids, then you have space in the little cars, and you have to get another car just to be able to put all the kids in it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my family also plays like literally um every holiday Mexican Train, and I don't know how different it is from Domino's, but like we have this little platform that you put the doubles in, so we always start with the double 12s, and then everybody has their little port to come out of their train station, um and yeah, we have played that one so much that quite a few times we have run out of dominoes to use um as the scratch pile, the blank, the spares pile that you draw from. Um and the other one that's really big in my family, the card game, is Gin Rummy. I'm not sure if we play it the same exact way as all the rules, but we do where it's like there's 5 or 6 rounds, I think. Um and so like first is um 2 sets of 3 you have to lay down, and then it's a run of 4, set of 3, 2 runs of 4, 3 sets of 3, and then um a set of 3 and a run of 6 or 7 because it goes up to 10 cards you have to put down. You basically can go out in one do.
Nice.
um my sister and I do not keep score because we can never remember face cards, what they're worth, and then what the jokers and twos are, um the wild cards, because my grandmother always changes it. And she claims she does not change it, but we're like, you change it every single time.
Hmm.
But my grandmother likes to keep score. And I'm like, I don't like to keep score because then you just get upset when you haven't been able to put down anything and all of a sudden you're up to 500 points and everybody else is down at like 20. So,
Right.
but yeah, that's games, card games, board games.
Mm-hmm. Nice. I have one final question for you guys. And how did this podcast better you as a person? And how did it progress you? How did it challenge you?
Ooh.
Uh,
Uh,
dead air because we don't know. Um, I promise y'all, we're still here. He did not give us these questions in advance.
No, these are
So,
right. These are off my brain. So
see,
I'd say, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I thought he came up with these like a week ago, but
I I think in some ways it kind of helped me realize I do have quite a bit of pop culture love that isn't just video games.
mhm.
And kind of going into my mind, going into, everything and really reaching and remembering some of the stuff that I do like. Um, it's interesting. It really is interesting to really think back and be like, oh yeah, no, I do like this series. I do like this series. I like this character. And it's not just Samus, it's not just Link, it's other forms of media.
Mhm. Nice.
um, I think for me, Geeks was Geeks was honestly the escape for me to begin with because we started it during the pandemic, like when we were back at CMU, but like most everybody was taking classes online, so you weren't really interacting with anyone.
Mhm.
But it became more of like time to share my knowledge. And I'll be honest, like I've been pretty happy the entire time. Here's one thing I would change, or like I think you should do next year, is
Mhm.
try and find another female geek because I think it's super important. To just have the different perspectives and to show that it's not just guys who are geeks, like it's
Right.
women, females as well. Um, but like being able to bring that perspective in for some of it. Um, but also like I think it kind of helped pull me back out of my shell that I had kind of gone into because I'm
Mhm.
kind of an introvert. It may not seem like it on this podcast at
Mhm.
all because I talk a lot sometimes. Um, but it's because I'm ADHD, and once you get me on one of my hyperfixations, it's gonna be a tangent town. Listen,
Yeah.
okay? And then to remember what tangent I was on originally, psh, um, that ain't happening. But I think this show has helped me get out of my shell just a little bit more. I'm a bit more vocal now again, because when I was a child, I very definitely was a lot more vocal, and then I became more introverted. Um, and then yeah, this show kind of pulled me back out a little bit, so I'm not quite as afraid to speak out on my opinions and voice my opinions as anymore. And I think for a while that was something that like I kept hidden, not because I was afraid of what other people or like scared of the conflict, but just because I was like, is anybody gonna listen?
Mhm.
And at this point, it's kind of like, you know what? Sometimes you just need to voice your opinion to say it, to get it off your chest. And if no one says it, acknowledges it or agrees with it or disagrees with it, then whatever. It's you voicing your opinion is more for you than it should be about anyone else. But
Mhm. I completely agree, and I want to say thank you guys for this awesome advice. I am all ears, and I promise to continue to live up to your guys' name for this podcast. And I just want to ask everybody back at home, give these guys a round of applause. I'm
this is the
very
time that
proud.
I wish I had Sam Puckett's little like doohickey.
Oh, the little iCarly thing. The
Yeah.
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 Even
Yeah.
though, it's just her pushing a button and then someone off screen doing whatever. But still.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am
Yeah.
very excited to continue this podcast. And just like Vader, I was once but the learner, now I am the master. I am very excited to continue Raving Geeks next year, guys. And I want to say thank you for answering all my questions and just being here for this final episode with you guys.
Of
Well,
course.
Mhm.
yes. Sorry, I'm not good with emotions. Not trying to just like dismiss that or move right past. I'm not. I never know what to say. So,
Mhm.
um, but my final best up is TV shows.
Oh, no, that's not fair. As a TV binger, that's quite the tall order. Um, I think my favorite TV show of all time is still Parks and Rec. Just because of the memories I have it with my family. Second favorite TV show is a tie between Star Wars The Mandalorian and Star Wars The Clone Wars because both reignited my love for Star Wars when it was starting to fall off. So I have both of those TV shows to thank for my literal favorite franchise of all time. I wouldn't be here without Star Wars. So I have to mention it. Um Third favorite TV show. I'm gonna throw Scooby Doo in there. First cartoon I ever watched, and Scooby Doo's kind of like the gateway for me into horror. Another big thing that's a part of my life. Star Wars and horror probably. No, it's a three-way tie actually. It's Star Wars, Marvel, and then horror. That's like the three-way tie. My third TV show is. I'm sorry, not my third TV show. My fourth TV show is I want to say Marvel's Moon Knight. I just enjoy the hell out of that show, and I think it's the best Marvel TV show that they've ever put out. And my fifth TV show, um, ooh, ooh, I'm gonna have to go with Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I really, really enjoyed Andy. I didn't actually like Andy Samberg until I watched that show. And I'm like, I finally get his brand of comedy. And Stephanie Beatrice is also fantastic in that show. Always will have a huge crush on her. She's just such a great actress. She's so pretty. And oh God, I forget the guy who plays Captain Holt, but he's also a great actor. He's
Oh
very
yeah.
utilized. I don't know why he's not in more stuff. He's honestly amazing. And yeah.
And Terry Crews, who is
Yeah,
also
and Terry Crews.
from
Don't forget
Flint,
Terry
Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. But that's it for my top 5. How about you, Mike?
this is in no order. I would have to say Daredevil because,
Mhm.
um, in my opinion, I think that would be the number one. Um, the philosophies that every vigilante has in that one, um, the idea of, you know, a court of law and actually like putting these people, behind bars. Wilson Fisk, being just an absolute monster in that show, but still, in some ways, he does have a point. Just every now and then, it's like, okay, I can see where you're coming from. Um, the Punisher, the cinematography, the action scenes that are just so long and just one shots, they're so beautiful. Um, I mean, this show is just hands down the show. Um, and I will always consider it like that. Um, I'd say second one is Breaking Bad.
That's a
I
fantastic show.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And the third one shouldn't shock anybody. Better Call Saul. I love the hell out of that show. Um, Mike Ehrmantraut is just one of my favorite characters, just of all time. Um, I want to say number 4 is one that I actually learned about just this past year, but I still go to it as comfort food. Really, it's this comedy show called I Think You Should Leave.
Hmm.
Um, and it's just a bunch of sketches from Tim Robinson, who is an SNL guy, and he's hilarious in this one. It's always just really, really weird, a little bit uncomfortable type of SNL sketches, and some of them are actual like ones that just didn't make the cut in SNL. And he was
Mhm.
like, "Fine, I'll just make this show," and it has Andy Samberg, it has all sorts of famous people in it.
Didn't Bob
It's
Odenkirk also star in that show for a little bit?
Yep.
That's what I
Yeah,
thought. That's what I thought.
he's in a single sketch and that's it.
Hmm.
Which was always really funny to me. Um, and then the last show, and this is kind of recency bias, Barry.
Oh,
Barry on
that show is
HBO.
amazing. I still
I'm
haven't watched it yet.
I'm on the final season. I just watched the latest episode. It is so good. It's so funny, and these past few seasons have been so dark. Um, it is the true dark comedy.
Mhm.
Um, that balances it so well in so many different ways. And anybody that just loves crime, they love action, and they love comedy, um, this is the show. This is hands down one of the shows that you need to watch.
Nice. How about you?
I think my cat Loki is throwing Loki into the mix here.
Oh, damn it. I forgot about Loki. Oh, no. No, no, Moon Knight is better than Loki in my opinion, but I forgot
Um,
about Loki.
I okay, so no particular order, but also this is not like recent things to, or a couple of one of them is not. Just because like it formulated a lot of my childhood, Blue's Clues,
Oh.
specifically with Steve.
Yep.
And fun fact, the producers wanted the Boy Next Door look and like Boy Next Door as the host instead of Steve. And
Oh.
so they did a test, like screen test with kids, between Steve and then, the guy that fit their, can you not step on the computer? That would be fantastic. Um, Cats, am I right? Um, so they did it with the Boy Next Door type and Steve, and I guess like the way that he described it was Loki is my face at this point. Um is that the kids were like pointing out all the different like they was like, "Oh, can you tell me what a triangle is and stuff?" And then they were going around the room and pointing out triangles and stuff. when it was Steve, whereas when it was the boy next door, they were just kind of like, eh, like they kind
Mhm.
of did it, but they weren't into it as much. And so it's because of us that Steve got his job.
Nice.
Um, but also my youngest niece, when she watches Blue's Clues, watches Steve. And let me tell you, Steve is the best Blue's Clues host. Um,
Easily.
very easily. The others, I would say, um, oh jeez, I had a bunch, and then this dude came in and wrecked my train of thought. Um, I would say another one is probably Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I absolutely loved their dynamic and also the fact that they were like, hey, let's focus on Bucky's trauma. Like they didn't dive super deep into it to make it awkward or traumatic for anybody else, but like it was enough that they were showing they weren't just bypassing it. Um, and also that was I thought was a really good just Marvel in general. Um, Another show would probably be Shadow and Bone on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I don't think it's gonna get a season three because Netflix has not said anything about it. Um, it's fantastic for the first two seasons, the only two seasons we're probably gonna get. I loved the characters. I loved how they combined the books, and used stuff from both the books. They were moving towards actual plots in the Six of Crows books, but Netflix is stupid, so here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think another one would be Brooklyn Nine-Nine as well.
Mm-hmm.
I got into it late. I got into it after it had actually ended.
Oh,
And
really?
ended after Lin-Manuel Miranda brought it back too.
Oh.
Because it was actually Lin-Manuel Miranda that got me into it because I saw his interview about him being the reason why it got picked up by another studio. At least that's what he claims. Yeah, it was really good. And then I found out my best friend also watches it, so we were able to kind of geek out over that. And then Psych, definitely
Mm.
a big one. Um, I definitely relate to Sean with ADHD. Um, I do not relate to some of his other things that his father taught him, but I also notice things that other people don't normally notice, and I don't know if it's an ADHD trait or, you know, what. Um, but yeah, that was a good one. I mean, definitely also all the cop shows that I watch. But yeah, so
Nice. That is a great list.
yeah. All right. So, as always on Raving Geeks, we like to end with some recommendations for you all. These can be anything geeky, including things that we just want to, rave about, as we are the Raving Geeks.
Mm-hmm.
So this could be books. I almost said books and novels. That's the same thing. Or novels can be books. Books are not always novels. So whatever. Um, Can you tell I don't want this podcast to end, so like I don't have to this isn't my last episode. Um, but you can recommend TV shows, movies, doing something out in our town or state, because we'll be all going to different areas of the state soon. Or even out of state. I don't know what plans are for everybody. But yeah, so what do you all have for recommendations on our final episode of this season?
For my recommendations, I'm going to recommend everybody go back to Raving Geeks catalog and watch all the episodes with Hope and Mike in it. As for my normal recommendations, I don't really have any. Anybody who has enough money to play Jedi Survivor, go play that. I hear it's amazing. As term for media, go see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 when it comes out. By the time of this recording, it'll already be out. So yeah, Mike, what are your recommendations?
I think the one and only recommendation that I have at the moment is Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and its sequel, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which comes out on May 12th.
Mhm.
I'm so excited for this, and I've been playing through Breath of the Wild again, and kind of forgot just how good it is.
Mhm.
Uh, it's been out for about 6 years. This is going to be the next big Zelda game that comes out, Tears of the Kingdom, and it's kind of looking almost like the next big simulator slash crafting game with
Mhm.
some of the abilities that it has. So I've just been going back through Breath of the Wild and just having a great time. I think everybody should have a good time with that game because um, the exploration and some of the like cool moments of discovery that you make are still just something that rings as something phenomenal.
Mhm.
Me as a gamer who's been around for 22 years.
Nice. How about you?
Alright. Well, I'm gonna suggest that you go play a board game, or a card game with your friends or family. I suggest Monopoly if you want to see how competitive people get. Or Game of Life and just see how many children each of you can get. Don't lose them. But I also recommend on TV Next Level Chef with Gordon Ramsay. It is not his usual swearing at everybody show like Hell's Kitchen, which I am currently watching the recent season of Hell's Kitchen. Started off as 20 somethings versus 40 somethings as the red and blue kitchens. And then blue has just sucked for the first 2 episodes. They've already lost 3 people. Because the first episode they had a double elimination because a guy basically was like, I don't think you should eliminate either of these two that, were put up for elimination because obviously they want to be here more than me. And I think you should send me home. So Gordon Ramsay goes, get back in line, first off. And then he chose between the 2 people that were up for elimination. And then he called the guy back down and was like, since you don't want to be here and you're so willing to give it up, you can leave. Um, in true Gordon Ramsay tone. Not as nicely as I said. Um, but yeah, Next Level Chef is between it's a competition. Gordon Ramsay has a team, Richard Blaze has a team, and then Chef Naisha has a team, Naisha Arrington. Um, and the teams are comprised of chefs who are pro chefs, of any nature. So this can be they work in a restaurant or they do a catering business or whatever. You have social media chefs. So if you find anyone on TikTok or Instagram that posts videos and stuff on how to make food and dishes, you might see them on Next Level Chef. And then also home chefs as well. So people who literally just cook for their families. Um, I have no idea how they get on there, but basically it's mentoring them through the entire process too. It's a lot more mentoring, and teaching them things. So it's kind of like Master Chef Juniors with the little kids where they have to teach them how to do some of the stuff beforehand. Um, but it's really nice because like right now there's a woman from Detroit who's a professional chef on there. And I'm rooting for her. And so far, all of the people who I wanted to leave have left,
Mhm.
and I'm sitting there going, crap, now who do I want to leave? I don't want any of them to leave. I want them all to win. Um, so I'm basically basing it on how well they prepare their dishes and stuff at this point and how well they've done for the past few episodes. Um, Basically, who can cut it in this format now? And then my final recommendation is Dear Martin by Nick Stone. I'm gonna try and show this book on screen, but it's not gonna want to let me do it.
Oh, there it
Um,
is.
but it's by Nick Stone. She's a fantastic author. She is Black queer woman. And she apparently lives like 8 minutes from Angie Thomas's house. They are
Mhm.
like best friends. Um, and I actually just got to see her at CMU. Um, because we had her do like a speech thing, and then there was a writer's workshop with her the next day. I got to do both. I got this book signed and a book for my sister signed. Um, but yeah, Nick Stone is a freaking badass.
Mhm.
Um, she probably wouldn't necessarily say it that way, but she's a badass and she's a really good role model and like very personable author. Like it's her being an author isn't so much like for her about the fame and popularity as much as it is telling stories and representation of different people in the stories. Because she herself, she said that she didn't see herself in a book until Divergent. And
Mhm.
she is almost 40 years old. And that should tell you something. Um, so yeah, those
Nice.
are my recommendations.
Good recommendations all around.
Awesome.
Everyone. Yeah. All right. So if you guys want to reach out to us on social media, you can talk to us on our Twitter and Facebook. Just search Raving Geeks. And then you can check us out on TikTok on our TikTok videos that I will be posting some new videos soon. When soon? I don't know. Could be this week, could be next week, could be this month sometime. But I will be posting new videos. And that one is also just Raving Geeks. Find us on Raving at Raving Geeks.
Mhm.
Um, so two of us are signing off for the last time. But one of us is not. So don't be confused when I say signing off for the last time. We are Hope Goodero along with my co-hosts.
I'm Carter Sally, and I'll see you guys in the fall.
I'm Michael Gonzalez, and this is it.
We guys hope that you have a great summer and a great weeky and that y'all stay geeky.
See
See
you
ya.
guys later.
See ya.